In a community of watch collectors that spans the globe, there's probably one thing that most, if not all, have in common: horror stories of buying a Rolex from a dealership. Suppose you've never tried entering the big glass doors of an AD yourself. In that case, chances are you've heard about the rude salespeople, who are seemingly never willing to sell anything, or sometimes even kick out genuine clients willing to pay thousands of dollars. These stories have created an intimidating aura around any dealership selling Rolex pieces. You're not alone if you've walked around the mall and seen a Rolex AD, stopped in your tracks to admire a piece that you've dreamt of owning, and immediately felt a lump in your throat from the thought of actually going in and buying it because of what you know about these infamous salespeople. You might have even mustered up the courage to walk through the doors and noticed that the store's environment isn't exactly welcoming. None of the salespeople are making eye contact, and any client that's being entertained looks like they have a fleet of yachts and jets at their disposal. So you feel like an outcast among them and decide to leave without even attempting to talk to that intimidating, well-dressed individual behind the counter. So how can you successfully buy your first Rolex from an actual dealership? We're here to give you all of the necessary tips, tricks, and strategies you need in your arsenal to stop thinking of Rolex ADs as a bogeyman of horology, avoid making some crucial mistakes that could ruin your chances, and finally purchase a first-hand Rolex in all of its glory. Before we talk about anything else, let's start with the most obvious rule to purchasing a Rolex from any AD. You need to be polite. Rolex is one of the highest-selling watch brands in the world, so don't go to the store thinking that the dealership's business is going to sink without your patronage. They already make a lot of money from the richest people in your city, so it's unlikely that any salesperson is going to entertain you if you deal with them rudely. Moreover, these people already dealt with enough people raining down their pent-up anger on them because of the difficult time they have getting a watch. The ADs make sure their clientele consists of people who have the money to shell out on a watch at any time, and they want to ensure that your presence in the store is desirable. If you deal with them in a friendly manner, they're most likely going to reciprocate that treatment, since having positive energy in a store is good for business. Imagine walking into a store full of angry people demanding to buy a $100,000 watch. You'd be crazy to want to shell out your money for a store that's going to let other people ruin your own experience. A Rolex AD isn't just a regular place where you go in to buy stuff. It's a well-run machine that's there to provide a positive and calming experience for people who can afford luxury. So be nice, and you're already halfway there. What you should know about buying Rolex from ADs is that each salesperson has numerous clients that they entertain. To gain entry into an exclusive club, it's important to stand out from the crowd. Choosing a salesperson who seems to have something in common with you is important. It's going to increase your chances of getting the watch you want exponentially. That's because gaining the favor of a salesperson means that they're going to be more willing to go the extra mile for you and pull out those rare items from the stock that they reserve for those few special customers. Oftentimes, the watches you see in the windows are only there for exhibition, and many stores refuse to hand out a Submariner to just about anyone. It's difficult for ADs to get their hands on the latest watches since they're in such high demand. The effort and money they invest in having these pieces in stores is a lot. So they have to make sure that they have those pieces in stock for as long as possible. And that's only possible if they hand it out to a select few clients. Thus, developing a relationship with a salesperson by having a nice conversation about your shared interests is a huge deal. Treat them like you would a friend, and they'll make sure you're treated in a special way. It'll probably help if you wear a Rolex you already own before you go in. This is a wonderful conversation starter, and sharing a story about how you got that particular piece will lead to deeper conversations in the future. If you don't already own a Rolex, wearing any watch from a nice brand will help. Most may not know this, but the people at dealerships are really resourceful. Once they have a conversation with you and you exit the doors, they often get to run a rigorous background check on you. That means your social media presence and public persona will be judged under a watchful eye to ensure you fit within the expectations of what they want in a client. So before entering an AD shop, it's best you update your LinkedIn profile to favor your professional career and impress a salesperson, so a quick Google of your name impresses them. Of course, if you don't think your profile is good enough for your local AD, there's the option of faking your way through and impersonating someone highly successful like YouTuber Phil Reed has. But we wouldn't recommend that to anyone who wants a lasting relationship with your Rolex representative. Never go into a Rolex AD thinking you're going to get the watch you've wanted for a while. As we said before, there's a lot that goes into ADs actually obtaining these watches for stock. So when you go in, be ready to have a salesperson lead you to a piece that they think will look best on your wrist. This personalized experience is part of the luxury you get when buying something from an AD. Respect it. There are probably many pieces you've never considered buying because they didn't look as good in the pictures online. Once they actually go on your wrist though, your perception of that watch is likely going to change. Although, once you become a regular of the store, you're more likely to have your demands met and get the watch you want. A well-developed relationship with a Rolex AD means you're gonna get what you want. To increase your chances of being serviced by a Rolex AD even further, it's good to use your resources and understand which ADs have less clientele. For example, if you're in a high-end city like London, with a bustling crowd of people at Rolex ADs at all times, the likelihood of getting face-to-face time with a representative goes down by a lot. If your city already has a lot of uber-rich people, it's much more difficult to stand out and be noticed by a Rolex salesperson. A good idea would be to go to a smaller city, close to you, not filled with as many rich customers, always wearing a Rolex on their wrist. That way, your business will be more valuable to the AD, and they're probably going to want you to buy something from them rather than shoo you away so they can entertain better clientele. To know about the closest Rolex AD in your vicinity and explore the options you have, you could visit the Rolex website, which always has a map of the different ADs spread out across the globe. Understand what you're getting into, use your resources, and play it smart. This is a formula that's guaranteed to get you what you want, and you're less likely to spend valuable time looking for a single person who will let you buy a Rolex watch. Though the stories of Rolex ADs may be true, there's nothing to be afraid of. Every AD is just looking out for itself and keeping its club exclusive for the sake of maintaining the prestige of buying a Rolex. The process is an experience in itself, and unless you try, you're never going to know whether you can be one of the few lucky people who get to join that club. Don't be intimidated and put yourself out there. You might be surprised at your own experience and have a nice story to share instead. So be kind, lower your expectations, use your resources, and go into this with the idea that you're in it for the long run. Undoubtedly, these tips are enough to get you your first AD Rolex and many more in the future.